And of course, I'll make edits and everything if we need to. Okay. I'm so excited. Laura's here, Laura Odemer, one of our board members.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jip. Jip's coming to us from Kansas. Is it UN?
Yes, I think this is a new family. Hello, everyone. Hi, Laura.
Laura, I'm so happy you made it. Archie, I've been wanting you and Laura to meet since I met you.
Good morning.
Laura, you can unmute yourself if you want to say hi.
Hi, I didn't know I was muted. Nice to meet you finally. Dana's said so many nice things about you and your organization, so I'm excited to hear more about it.
Awesome. I'm trying to close some apps because Zoom is telling me I have too many windows open and that it may affect my performance of this Zoom call. So forgive me. I was working on about 1,700 things for the last 2 days. I'm one of those that I don't like to close apps or emails until I know that I'm done with it so that I don't forget about it. So let me try to close some of this stuff so that it doesn't affect my
I'm the same way, Archie.
Hi, John.
Awesome. Hi, John. You're able to make it. John is our program director for our USD athletics program and does a lot of outreach in Las Vegas as well. John, do you want to?
Is this the same John that you messaged me with yesterday?
Yeah, he's at work right now, but I asked him to be here to meet you too, because we're getting him all geared up to go out to Las Vegas for the football camp on Thursday. John, you want to say hi to Archie?
Hi, Archie. Hi, Archie.
Oh, I definitely needed that this morning. Good morning, John.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. We have a little intro before we'll hop on and introduce our guest speaker. All right. So welcome and happy Wednesday to everyone who's part of our Lunch and Learns. Couple Zoom rules. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. You can also unmute yourself. At the end, we will have a Q&A with our guest speaker. You can feel free to unmute yourself or type any questions in the chat and I'll read them for you. Archie, I'll help moderate the chat so you don't have to pay attention to that. I'll just read out everybody's comments out loud. So that is a few Zoom rules. And then a quick update from Autism Tree. We have had 445 new intakes of new families in addition to the thousands that we serve since January 1st of 2023, which is a new record for us. As a lot of you might have known if you have attended a Lunch and Learn in the past, we had 550 new intakes all of last year, January to December, and we're already at 80% of that just at the end of July. So welcome to all of our new families. For those of you who are new to Autism Tree, we offer 20 programs. All are at no cost. They're free to attend in over 200 events a year. We have 9 in-person programs in San Diego County, 7 that are hybrid, in-person and virtual, and 4 that are all virtual. So people who are outside of San Diego County or in different states, they're welcome to join as well. We have 13 events on our calendar for August already, and we add new events all the time. So check back on our social media. We're very active on Facebook and our Facebook calendars. We also update as well as our Instagram. Events that we have this weekend are our NCL Adaptive Art Workshop. We're excited to partner with the National Charity League Mothers and Daughters from the San Diego chapter, which is based in La Jolla area. We have that this Saturday for a few hours. They're going to do fun arts and crafts for our kids. We have a musical play group also this Saturday, and our adaptive dance, which happens every week as well. We have 547 videos on our YouTube channel that are all resources for our families, ideas of what, if you need an idea for what your kids can do during the summer to fill some time. We have lots of amazing resources that we've gathered since the pandemic that are on our YouTube channel, and 126 of those are our Lunch and Learns. You can go back and watch any of our Lunch and Learns, they're recorded. There's resources on there, just incredible guest speakers. We love every single one of them. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Dana Hoff, who's our co-founder and executive director. She'll introduce our guest speaker, which is our 127th Lunch and Learn guest speaker.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's so great to be here today. I think everyone on this call, or at least a good percentage of you, have heard me speaking about Archie and this program that he runs. Rebecca, I don't know if you can put me on screen or not. I put it to speaker view. Okay, thank you. I just had such a great experience meeting Archie. And before I met Archie, I actually met his beautiful daughter, Alexis. And I don't really know if I've ever met a 20-something, to tell me that I have to meet their parent that everyone loves. She's like, everyone loves my dad, Archie, so much. You have to meet him. And so it was an absolute blessing to get to know his daughter first, and then have her be the catalyst for me meeting Archie, which I had to kind of look up when that was, which is last October. This is me the day I met Archie at his ranch called New Vista. And I just, walked away feeling like it was an extension of our culture, especially when I saw that sign. It just kind of all came together. You can see it there. It was hanging at New Vista, and it says "Lead with Love." And that is definitely what we do at Autism Tree every day. Every decision we make is really heart-centered on how we decide what we do at Autism Tree. And so this is kind of gives you a little snapshot of their mission and one of their many campuses. Archie's going to talk to you more about all that they do, but I just really, after spending a few hours at the ranch with Archie, felt like he's, to me, the most incredible resource that I know, who has dedicated, I think, 30 years of his life to the community he's serving. And then to see them over the course of a few hours, both his staff and they call them members that live and are part of New Vista. And I really loved that too. And I just felt like everyone really wanted to connect with Archie, and he had such a connection with each person. And I don't know how each person feels right now today, coming off the pandemic and getting back into daily, kind of turbo speed we maybe were before the pandemic. I know I feel that connection is such an important thing that we're trying to always get back, even in our personal lives. And so I would say that's probably the biggest thing that touched me about meeting Archie and watching him with his staff and the members that live there, is the connection, the absolute visible connection I saw between him and everyone that he was interacting with, and how much they were initiating interacting with him because he was trying to tour me. And aside from my own self, when I meet someone and I tell story upon story upon story, just naturally, of Autism Tree stories, that's what Archie was doing for me for 3 hours. So it was really, really extra special. And so I'm really grateful for some of our core team that are on our board or running our programs that are here today. And I just want to say thank you for making it. And I'm going to turn it over to Archie and just say how super excited we all are that you're here today, Archie. Thanks so much.
Well, definitely. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here this morning. I have to admit, like I admitted to Rebecca and Dana, my morning most certainly was not off to a great start. I did get up early, went to the gym, but just wasn't in a good space. Just a lot of things, the life and the responsibilities of this industry, and thinking about the many people that require the support and that you want to help and support, it sometimes gets really heavy. But Dana, I really have to tell you that the words that you shared, that you reminded me of, the things that we do and that we are doing now collectively for this population, really made me feel like today was a day to continue to fight. So I apologize, get a little emotional about that sometimes. But if for those that have been around this industry for a really long time, the work part is definitely a lot of work. The people that we are responsible for, what we call members, some of your loved ones, and to a lot of people's shock, I have a couple of loved ones as well, that have IDD and or autism. So Dana, thank you, because I really wasn't in a good space today. And so your words and reminding me helped me kind of reshift my focus. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to participate today. So thank you. For those that don't know, again, my name is Archie McArthur. I am the executive director of New Vista, sometimes known as New Vista Ranch, here in the lovely Las Vegas, where it has been consistently over 100 and something degrees for quite some time now. So for those of you that are in cooler temperatures, please enjoy it, because we are as close to, as some of my friends who rode out here from back east on motorcycles last week, as close to hell as you can get here in Las Vegas. So thank you and welcome everybody this morning. The first thing that I want to do is kind of speak to the misconception. So here in the state of Las Vegas, or in the city of Las Vegas, state of Nevada, no organization operates group homes for individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Typically, that population is a population that is supported in a home, which is known as an ISLA or some other supported living arrangement. So we don't have licensed group homes here in the state of Nevada. However, we do have to be certified by the state of Nevada to operate the homes that we have in the community. And each individual home is a home that is inspected and certified at least every 6 months. And each agency has a certification it could be 2 years, depending on how well they do. But the individual homes that our members live in are not group homes for adults. The children, on the other hand, they are in licensed homes. They are staffed homes for kids, and that is licensed through Department of Family Services. So just a misconception, and I know it's easy to explain to people when you talk about a home for this population. To say group home, people easily understand what that means and can kind of recognize what that responsibility would look like. But for us, the word group home said to the wrong person will most certainly get us into a conversation that we don't want to be in when it comes to the county and the state and the city and those things, because the different entities that aren't involved in our agency or involved with the population, they then proceed with, well, where's your license and where is this? And then we have to explain and then show certification, which isn't a problem. Obviously, the organization has business licenses and we most certainly are certified through the state, but the individual homes themselves do not have to be licensed group homes. That is not a requirement here in the state of Nevada. So with that being said, our organization, as of today, has 22 homes in the greater Las Vegas community, where various supports are rendered to this population, from an ISLA, which is intensive supported living arrangement, where members have 24-hour care. We have some homes that are TSLA, which is a transitional supported living arrangement, where the employees, which we refer to as my team, have sleep shifts at night and then weekend shifts that are blocks. And so the rest of the homes are just ISLAs, which are homes in regular communities and neighborhoods just like yours and mine, where the members reside. And We also have about 44 people who live at home with mom or dad, or in their own residences where my team goes in and provides supports intermittently to support with medical appointments, grocery shopping, those types of things. And so we recently, I think 2020, right during the pandemic, as the pandemic kicked off, reopened our youth services and programs. And so right now I have one home with Department of Family Services for youth. That home is licensed from 6 to 18. And I also have, which now the state of Nevada is operating and opening homes for youth. And I have two young men there that are 16 and 15, another 14-year-old that will move in the next week or so. And then the fourth young man will move in hopefully by the end of August. And so all of our homes, no home has more people in them than bedrooms. We don't bundle folks into multiple bedrooms. We don't have bunk beds. We treat our people, and for me, I would like to say humans. I don't think any adult person should sleep in a bunk bed unless they're on a retreat of some sort. I don't care how old they are or what their cognitive abilities are. I will never allow or purchase a bunk bed or a baby bed or a twin size bed for any adult that we provide supports to. So you can write that down anytime anyone asks that question. If they say that we have a bed that's smaller than a full-size bed, it was a team decision because the member themselves is a really small person and they wanted that little bed, not because Archie wanted to go buy them a baby bed. We don't do that. So just for the record, we also have a recreational respite program where members do take trips and vacations. They go to places like Disneyland, they go to shows, concerts. A lot of them are concerts and shows that I don't participate in myself just because I don't have the time. But they do live a great quality of life and we do offer those opportunities. They've been on cruises, vacations all over the United States, as well as a few out of the country trips. That is something that we offer through our recreational respite program. Unfortunately, the partnerships and collaborations aren't as plentiful. So those trips and vacations are a little hard to come by. We also do offer other programs and services like Vista Fit, which is based on movement and fitness. If you've been around this population for a long time, and especially my members, you turn on some music, you give them some Michael Jackson and it is a party. They will party like it's 1999, and they definitely love dancing and music. So we've offered a fitness class in some aspects to this population for many years. During COVID, it was definitely an experience. So that is one of our other programs. We have an art program as well that has been limited, obviously, trying to get back going again with donations and other things. Most of our members, especially the older demographic of our members, love art and those types of things. So I think, let me see, art, fitness, I think that's it. We did and do have an organic garden out on the ranch that has been managed by a community partner. Unfortunately, the community partner has suffered several accidents over the years that has limited her ability. She's now in a situation where she's having a surgery and will be out of the loop for a little while. But we do have a lot of our members who enjoy gardening and most certainly the fruits of their labors when the garden reproduces harvest. So those are some of the things that our organization does. I'm quite sure I missed something, but for those of you that have been to the website or seen any information on the organization, you most certainly can correct me, and if there was something that you think I've missed, and ask questions. Dana. just the question. So I guess not necessarily a question. I think at this point, one of the things that I did want to share, and so disregard, Dana, I think I'm back on track now. One of the things that I did want to share that a lot of people don't know is I grew up with a cousin who has autism. At the time when I was a teenager, and especially as a young kid before I became a teenager, we didn't really know what autism was. All we knew was that we had a cousin, his name is Demetrius, and that Demetrius was a little different. No one treated Demetrius any different except for when Demetrius got mad. And so that's the only time that it became a challenge, because obviously kids are usually very they like devious and mischievous. And so there were times where we would be playing and then Demetrius would get mad because someone withheld something or was picking on him, and then Demetrius was chasing everybody. And at that point, we all knew that, okay, better leave Demetrius alone, but most certainly had no understanding of what autism was, nor any understanding of what intellectual developmental disabilities were. But as I got older, Demetrius was our team, my football team for high school. He was the team manager. And I remember now as an adult, thinking back to all the years as a kid and then as a high school athlete, seeing Demetrius and then now seeing the members that I take care of and them being the Demetriuses of my life. That revelation didn't happen well into probably about 2000. And so I did not know and did not understand how much this population has been a part of my life. I have worked in the industry since '97, but ultimately it's been a part of my life since I was almost born, because Demetrius is only, I think, a year or 2 years younger than I am. So I have learned over the years that this population has been around me and with me much of my life, and didn't really understand it until I became pretty much the executive director. I don't think even in my early years as just a staff did I really connect the two situations, having a family member and then also working in the industry. It didn't really resonate to me until I started training other people and just thinking about the roles and impacts that we have on each other. And so my cousin Demetrius is most certainly a big part of my life. When I went back home, and I think I may be rambling, so forgive me if this is kind of all over the place, Dana. When I went back home a few years ago for my grandfather's funeral, it reminded me, because my cousin Demetrius was there at the funeral and he had on a football jersey, and it wasn't my football number. So I kind of gave him a little bit of pushback because he wasn't wearing my football number, but he did have on a high school jersey at my grandfather's funeral. And he reminded me of the days of him being our manager on the team. And for me, it just continued to resonate how much we do for this population, and how much this population impacts us. Because I think of all the times that Demetrius was there on the sideline, and his ability to be on the sideline is what gave him the most value. Him having that jersey on and him being a part of the team kind of goes back to the whole part of us changing our way that we recognize our people that we support to members, because Demetrius didn't play football, but he was a member of that football team. And for him, as now a 40-something-year-old man, to still have that much desire and to be so proud to wear that jersey, it just reminded me that this population definitely deserves the ability to be a part of something, and why we actually changed the way that we recognize them to members. And so again, I apologize if that's rambling, but that's just something that kind of stuck out to me when it comes to this population. Oh, well, let's see. One story that I kind of wanted to share with the group was when I first got to New Vista back in about this. I came here in 2000, but started working for the organization in 2005, and we were opening homes and growing the organization. At that time, it was just a ranch. The pictures that you saw that Dana put up, and the place where Dana visited first, and one other home. And from 2005 to about 2013, we went from those 5 homes to 23 homes. One of the first homes we opened was a home with some members who were previously residing on the state campus. They had been in a campus in a cottage for most of their life. Let's see, that was 18 years ago. So they were in their early 30s, late 40s. No, early 30s. Yeah, late 40s. And so these people were in cottages most of their life, from the time that their parents had them until they were old enough to be placed in an institution. And I do use the word institution because an institution is a state of mind. For them, this place was a lockdown facility. Their family members had felt that they would never have any other real quality of life, and that was the best opportunity for them. The state had decided around that time that they wanted to minimize the amount of homes that they operated directly, and they wanted these people to be in the community in the best possible setting. And so immediately all the parents of those particular members were in an uproar. They felt like their family members had been in the safest place they could be, which was this cottage that was completely locked down. It was around the clock staff. It was very institutionalized walls. There were really no decorations. It was like a little mini prison for all intents and purposes. But their families felt like they had been there all these years, and that was the best place for them. And so here I come, this young spry. I didn't have as many gray hairs, and I actually had hair back then. Telling them that we were going to take their loved ones from this institution and place them in the community and provide them a great quality of life. They looked at me like I was foolish, like I had 6 heads, and it would never, ever, 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 ever work. These were not people that were walking and talking and doing things. These were people that needed full, total care from someone, not their family members. And so it was most certainly a huge, huge conversation, almost a fight, and a lot of time and energy to set up what is now their home. So needless to say, that was in 2005 when the conversation started. This particular home opened in 2006. It is now 2023. These people are still in that house that is right around the corner from my office, and it's just a house. Now, there are some things in the home that are a little bit different because the food has to be locked in some areas of the home, but for all intents and purposes, the house is a house. These people have gone on more vacations than I have. They've lived in their community and thrived in their community for these last 17 years and will not, and I say will not go back to their family's homes or any other place. This place has been and is their home. The people, and I say the people, my team who has worked with them over the last 17 years has done everything in their power to keep them in the community and for them to live the best quality of life that they can. I get countless amount of text messages from family members about their loved ones. And I'm not going to say all good because, we're 24/7. And so I can tell you there's been plenty of holidays where one of the dads has messaged me and was complaining that at the time he went to the house to see his daughter, that there was only one staff person in the home and there were four people in the house. And so not all great, but for sure, more text messages from him about how appreciative he is that his daughter has been there safe and has thrived throughout all of these years, and reminded me of the times where he completely disagreed and felt like that it would never ever work, and his daughter would never be okay in the house that was not institutionalized, and that she would not be safe and not live a great quality of life. So I just wanted to share that particular story just because that was kind of the start of what changed things here at our organization when it came to a higher level of care and people that you wouldn't normally see in independent situations where members live without such harsh constraints. And so that is something that sticks out to me, and probably one of the most impactful things that have happened in my career, because no one believed that they could thrive. No one believed that they would stay in the community. No one believed that it would last. And again, it is now 17 years in the making, that these people have lived there. Various diagnoses, various challenges, medically, physically, again, lots of things that are challenging to them as well as the environment, but most certainly has been one of the most stable homes that we've had, though it is one of the most challenging and to manage because of the type of supports that these members need. And so I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Not something that always comes up in a conversation, but definitely one of the starting points for the organization and the growth. And with that being said, also, one of the things that makes it more difficult today is seeing this population age and trying to figure out what we're going to do for tomorrow, because there technically isn't a plan for this population as it pertains to the state. They don't have a plan. And so many of you know that, many years ago, or many years ago, this population was not expected to live past 30, 40, 50. I looked it up today, it's saying now 70. I can say for sure I have over three members that are over 70 years old, and many that are in 50s, 60s, 50s and 60-year-old range, which is one of the most scariest things that I deal with every day, is because this population, just like every one of us, we have to deal with death as well. I labor back and forth with how long I could be in this role and watch the people that I have now been a part of their lives for 18 years and watch them pass away and not be able to do anything about it. That is a really, really scary and challenging thought. I've had the discussion with a couple of my colleagues. It's much like, your family members, watching your great uncles or great aunts and grandparents get older and pass away. It's not fun, it's not pleasant, but it is a reality. And so I just share that just because, thinking about that home that opened, the bulk of this population that we have as an agency is older, and is not a great feeling to think about what happens with this population, though it is very natural and normal. So sorry, that's probably not a warm and fuzzy topic that you want to hear today, but unfortunately that is one of my realities, is that I have to look at my people that when I came, were much younger, just like me, and then watch them as they age, and trying to find solutions to that. We are most certainly in the midst of those solutions and having those discussions and summits and plans, though there isn't a budget for this population when they become older. There are some limitations to what will happen, and we're hoping to bridge the gap to that with some services that are necessary for this population, because typically they end up in a nursing home, which most certainly is not equipped to serve this population, because they don't have the ability to manage the IDD component of their situation and diagnosis. So they can deal with the Alzheimer's, they can deal with some of the medical things, but they don't have the skill set to manage the IDD component. So that is something that we're working on. I know because there are parents here, and I know that parent component is a thing. I want to share another story, and I don't know, Dana, if I'm off target or if there's something, so forgive me.
I think you're doing great, Archie, honestly.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm sweating. I feel like it's really hot in here and you guys are way over there on the camera. So, and I kind of feel like I'm rambling. So if you give me a look, like just shake your head or tell me, hey, come back around. Rebecca, you could do it as well. So if you stop smiling, I know that maybe I need to switch gears.
You're doing great, Archie.
So thank you. I have a story. There's because I know there's parents and there's lots of focus on what will and what is and what could be. I had a board member several years ago that came to the organization, really affluent, has a son with autism, and his expectations for what services should be or could be definitely were his own. And so some of the expectations were not really realistic. But what I'll say is his son entered into services first time ever. He adopted this young man who has autism. Very, very brilliant, very, very brilliant young person. He brought him to the agency. He and his wife wanted an opportunity to kind of see what life would be like outside of their home. And he went into one of the homes that we call it an ISLA. So 24-hour staff. My team is there with him as long as he's there. Sometimes there's an opportunity for those who have great skills to be there alone. And so he lived in his home probably, what was this? 6 years, 4 years. And then the pandemic hit. Much like everyone else, the pandemic was very scary. No one knew what was really going to happen. And he took his son home. His son went home and had lived with them throughout the pandemic. The dad reached back out to me about a year ago, just to open the communication about what life would look like for his son after the pandemic and whether or not services would be appropriate. One of the things that we learned after his son had lived in one of our homes was that his son did have some skills. His son did have the ability to potentially live more independently than what they needed. But the challenge wasn't the son. The challenge was mom and dad. Mom and dad were very apprehensive, as they should be. I'm a parent. I completely understand. Though I don't have a child with IDD, I most certainly am very careful and very safe when it comes to my children. But again, the young man's skills were definitely far beyond many of the people that live independently that we have right now. And I say that to say that for sure, this young man now is coming back to the organization, but not coming back to the organization to live in a home with 24-hour staff. He's going to live in an apartment with either by himself or with a housemate. And the realization came when Dad and I had a conversation a few weeks ago, and it was really based upon what does life look like and how do you look at your son? Is your son capable of living life with some support and having the ability to make some mistakes? And what does that look like for you? And what does that look like for mom and dad? And so he paused for a second after telling me all the great things that his son had done throughout the pandemic. He had studied and read some books for FCC and gotten his license and did all kinds of things, taking classes, with learning Spanish and lots of great accomplishments. But never did mom and dad feel as though him living in his own place would be an option, until we looked at the fact that him going back to a situation where he needed 24-hour care wasn't the most ideal for him and his growth, because he had been home with mom or dad for these last 3 years of the pandemic. Mom or dad they leave for a day, they may go on a business trip. He may stay at home for a few hours or even a day by himself. And now you're saying you're going to put him back in the house where he has housemates and other people who he may not want to be around every day, who he may not get along with in the way that is going to support him to thrive. And so dad stepped back for a moment and I said, hey, would it be okay if as a young man, you were teaching him to ride a bike and he fell and skinned his knee? He said, yes. I said, well, much like life, we all as adults have fell and skinned our knee a couple of times. It's our job as parents and agencies to put up safeguards to allow them to skin their knee, but not necessarily completely hurt themselves. So they most certainly, if he's riding a bike, he should probably wear some protective equipment, some helmets, elbow pads, and all of those things. And that's kind of what the services would look like for this person in that situation. And so dad and I kind of went back and forth about, putting up the bumpers. And if you've ever, taken a child to bowling, they have bumper lanes. So you put the bumpers up, and regardless of where the kid throws the ball is still going to make it to the pin. And right. And so one of the things that a lot of times has to be understood, and it's hard, is that it is okay for there to be a little back and forth, a little wobble. The ball may not go straight down the middle. And for all of us, I most certainly can raise my hand and say, I didn't get to the place that I am right now, and I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Some people may think I live a great life. Some people maybe not so much. But the reality is I didn't get here because I went straight down the middle of the lane, because I didn't make any mistakes, and because I didn't skin my knee, I didn't fall over. There's been plenty of issues that have happened in my life. But most certainly, our responsibility and our role is to put those bumpers up for these people, for this population, and allow them to go back and forth just a little bit, because with that comes the growth that they need in order for them to get to the independence or the level that they should. And again, I recognize that it is scary. It is not something that everyone can grasp, but anyone that we've come in contact with, regardless of what level their loved one is at, in terms of cognitive abilities and skills, is their growth, and what they've seen in their loved one came from their willingness to allow them to go down this lane with bumpers, not completely without bumpers, but with bumpers, and make some mistakes, and limited mistakes. Obviously, we don't want people, being abused, mistreated, or any of those types of things. But the reality is it's going to take a few trials in order for real growth to happen. And until we give them the opportunity, unfortunately, it really won't. And so the parent that I'm talking about is now for sure 100% committed to the fact that his son should live in his own place, not with other people, and that he should be able to make some mistakes. Clearly, I will share that, dad talked about, and I suggested it because I understand peace of mind, potentially putting some cameras in the apartment so he can kind of keep an eye. Obviously, there's plenty of technology that will support these things, and not completely taking away all of the ability to say, hey, if this doesn't work, we can pull it back, right? And so it's not a one-stop shop where everything happens the same way. I think every individual is obviously very different and the supports are different, but dad had to recognize that his son was far more capable than what he was giving him credit for. And ultimately, the stuff that he wanted to hold my team accountable for were things that ultimately were his son's responsibility. So I remember one time he came into my office, he was in an absolute uproar. I can't believe you guys didn't have him brush his teeth. I stopped for a minute because this highly educated man is telling me that we didn't force his son to brush his teeth, after you just told me in another conversation prior to this how intelligent he was. Most certainly it's our responsibility to remind him and encourage him and support him. However, we can't force him to brush his teeth. And you as dad, you didn't force him to brush his teeth. You didn't take the toothbrush out and stick it in his mouth. And so those conversations and being able to be candid with folks, again, not taking away the responsibility of us as an agency and us to run plans and all of those things, those IEPs and PCPs and all of those fancy acronyms that we have and you guys participated in all of your lives. Those things are a big part of how we get reimbursed. But ultimately, our job and my role is to make sure that every person that we come in contact with lives the best possible life they can, their best possible life, not mine, and sometimes not even mom or dad's. And one of the most challenging things, and again, Dana, I apologize. I definitely don't want to upset any parents, but unfortunately, it's not always what the parents want either. And I know that's a harsh reality. One of the things that this industry has really helped me with as a parent is allowing my kids to make some decisions, even when I feel like it may not be the best decision, and allowing them to see that that decision wasn't the best decision. And then them coming back to me and saying, hey, Dad, yep, that really wasn't a good thing. It really didn't work out for me. That's something that this industry has really helped me with. And I'm really appreciative for that. My older kids don't agree. They feel like my younger kids get more leeway and I'm soft now because, you know, this industry has softened me up. But the reality is that I practice what I preach. I most certainly allow my children to make some decisions with bumpers. So I'm not going to tell you to do something that I won't do. Most certainly, I don't feel like my kids are better than your kids, and your kids being the ones that may have autism or IDD are more important to me sometimes than my kids, because I'm most certainly on call for them 7 days, 365 days a year, and will respond to them most times faster than my children. Because my kids are asking for money and transferring some money from this bank account to that bank account. So your kids get more of my attention, and most certainly I do recognize them a lot faster. How much time? I feel like I've been going and going, Dana, like, wait a minute.
I'm really appreciative of like the whole migration of all of your stories. And it's a big part of even why I wanted to have you on. I didn't know how you were going to do the lunch and learn today, but you guys are all getting the experience with Archie that I did. I think that the only luxury I have that you can't see today is I got to see the actual members and how they just light up and feel like they have complete access and connection to him. And I can't say enough of just how rare I think that really is. And so I just encourage you that you're doing a great job, Archie. And I think the stories that you're sharing are really relevant.
Well, thank you. And the members really are what, you know, keeps me going. I have people ask me all the time, like, how long do I plan on doing it? Do I really? And every day that answer is different. It's really the members that keep me here. Most certainly not the stress, not the bureaucracy, the legislation, the government, all the politics that go along with it. Definitely not the board. It's the members. And I was reminded of that yesterday. I went and saw a young man in the hospital, 19 years old. He has severe IDD, cannot walk. So he's in the hospital, 19 years old. Mom is somewhere out there in the universe, and he needs a place to stay. And ultimately, when I walked into the hospital, I didn't know what to expect, because I typically don't read the paperwork first, right? I ask whoever the social worker is, the service coordinator, to tell me a little bit about that person. And I intentionally don't do it, because oftentimes you read the paperwork and you get this misconception and you get this perception of who this person is. And that preconceived conception, that preconceived notion will skew sometimes what it is you want to do and your ability to do and work with this person. So over the years, I've learned I don't read everything the first time. I want to ask a question. I want to see the person. I want to interact with the person. and then I'll go back and read. And so I'll share this, and then I'll shut up, Dana, I promise. So I got a phone call from the state, and they said, hey, we have this 19-year-old that we want to place. You know, he needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of support. You know, he's kind of his own guardian. He has a mom, but she's not involved. And, you know, we need somewhere for him to go. And so because of his age, I was thinking, okay, well, his age would put him at this home. And I was looking at his diagnosis and the support that he needs. I'm like, well, that home really wouldn't fit. And then I'm thinking about the team that would work with him. And I'm like, man, okay, well, I don't know. I have a couple of openings, but where is he going to go? So I went to the hospital yesterday, and it's hot. Walking to the hospital, this 19-year-old kid is sitting in the room in a hospital chair. When I say a beautiful kid, I walked into the room, we looked at each other, and he looked at the CNA who was sitting there because he has to have a sitter. And he's sitting there, he has on adult briefs, no shirt, in a hospital chair next to the window. And he looks up at me with this huge smile. And I'm a sucker for love. You call me what you want to call me. He looked up at me with this huge smile. And it didn't take much from that point forward before I was telling the service coordinator that I was going to take him. And I was taking him for two reasons, selfishly. So one, because the immediate connection, and the fact that he recognized that I was coming for him specifically. I had heard stories about, you know, how he had interacted with some of the nurses and some of these things. Unfortunately, the nurses didn't understand him. They didn't understand his diagnosis. He's very spastic. He has seizures. And obviously, he suffered some trauma. He's been through some abuse. He's had some neglect. All those things have been a part of his life. But when treated the right way, his natural reaction isn't to harm anyone. He wasn't aggressive. He's not naturally aggressive. The times that he was aggressive, it was because he felt like and interacted with people, and the energy and the way they treated him and they were moving him and shifting him, he reacted. It wasn't because he naturally wanted to hurt anyone, and nor did he hurt me or anyone that visited him yesterday. And so I sat right beside him. He gave me fist bumps. He smiled. He pointed outside at the window because he most certainly wants to go outside. He's been in the hospital for almost a year now. The hospital does not have the ability to care for him. They do not even provide briefs. The nurse brings briefs to him daily. They don't give him food that is appropriate for him. They give them whatever is there, and he does not like it. He can tell you. And I told the service coordinator from the state that yes, he was leaving with me, and selfishly because one, he's 19 years old, and he deserves an opportunity to live the best possible life that he can. And do I feel like I am the best or my agency is the best? No, but I feel like in this particular conversation, we're going to give him the best opportunity to thrive. We're going to give him an opportunity to grow. We're going to give him an opportunity to live and do some of the things that a 19-year-old with his abilities could and should be doing. He most certainly is capable of learning and doing more than he has throughout his lifespan. It is very clear that he can react and respond to certain conversations and ask certain questions. He cannot speak, but most certainly can answer things. I asked him, did he like the food that the nurse had? No. Did he like what was on his TV? Yes. Did he want to go outside? Yes. Does he want to stay in the hospital? No. Do you want to go for a ride? Yes. So not all words, some gestures, some facial expressions, and most certainly you can see distaste for certain things, certain activities, and definitely a pleasure to be around. His smile most certainly rejuvenated me yesterday, and I needed it for sure. And we'll be bringing him to New Vista as soon as I can do so stably and make sure that I have the team in place to manage his care. I do have an opening for him, and if I could have taken him yesterday, I would have picked him up and carried him to my truck and put him in there, and we would have left the hospital. And so, Dana, I will now close my mouth. I appreciate everyone sitting here and watching me babble on and on and on. But I thank you. I definitely love this industry. I'm appreciative for all that it's done for me and my family, and allowing me to now be a part of this group is a huge thing. So thank you, Rebecca, for sending the information. Dana, thank you for continuing to text and show up. And anytime you are here, please let me know. Anytime any one of you guys are here, please let me know. Most certainly we'll give you a tour. If we have events going on, you are welcome as my guest. We do have wine walks and other things. And so please check in if you happen to come to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Archie. I've got to say, I have so much respect for you. One of just hearing you speak about the personal stories that you shared, and that there's a million. I know there's a million more that you even haven't told us. And that just shows that you care so much, and that your heart. And I totally get what Dana, has experienced when she went and met you for the first time. And I know there's probably a few questions from parents in the audience, and I just want to take the last minutes that we have with you to connect and introduce a few people. So first, if you want to unmute yourself and say hi to Archie, you're free to do so. You can raise a virtual hand or type your question in the chat if you'd like to. Karen did say, Archie, you're a real life hero. I'm adding you to my prayer list. I was honored to be so blessed by you today.
Karen, thank you so much. I most certainly welcome all prayers for sure, because life is crazy. I ride motorcycles as well, so I definitely take the prayers and the stress that this life holds. I think we all need them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, go ahead and say hi.
Hey guys, again, sorry I'm really late. I was in another meeting, but Archie, I from what I've heard, great job, and God bless you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
Laura said, amazing job. We need an Archie in San Jose.
Listen, I'm open to definitely relocation. My youngest is 16, so she'll be a junior this year. Las Vegas is definitely not my last stop, so I'm open for sure.
Well, I'll give you a tour in San Jose for sure. I have two girls, they're identical twins, and they just turned 20. And Dana and I have many discussions about the next chapter in their life. And I do wish there was something locally like what you have there, but I will definitely be in Las Vegas in the next few months and stop by and say hi. So
awesome. Yeah, Dana has shared, how much, your daughters and their life. She's shared a little bit of that. And so as a parent, I know you have some hard decisions and things to make, and I respect that totally. Anything that I can do to support you, please let me know. If it's just, hey, these are some things that were presented to me. These are some situations that have arisen. Just by all means, you can shoot me a text, whatever. I'm here to support. That is probably the most beautiful thing that comes out of my life is that being able to connect with family members or parents when there are challenges. Because unfortunately, the system doesn't always give you a direct path. The state doesn't necessarily like me on this side of life when I skip steps for parents and tell them how to operate. I'm not going to say manipulate, but operate the system, because it is hard, and you guys are at an unfair advantage from the beginning, because there isn't a manual to parent, and most certainly not a manual to parent a special needs person, someone with intellectual developmental disability. So anything that I can do, please, any parent that's on this call, any information that I may be able to access, any resources or be able to connect, please just definitely reach out. Dana has my information. Rebecca has my information. Text me on my cell. Please don't use the office line, and you don't have to email me. It's not a formal conversation. We're family now.
Aw, I love that, Archie. That's how I feel, is the heartbeat that you have and the way that you literally have talked for an hour straight just feels legitimately like you're already part of our team. Even our board, Laura's on our board, and we worked a year, and what it all came down to is really refocusing on the one family at a time, which we've already been doing for 20 years, but on creating exactly that, the best life. And I think, it's really important that we have you as a resource, because we're taking in more new young families than ever before, while we have hundreds of families that we've been serving, and we're trying to figure out those next steps of where they go after college. And during the pandemic, we had so many people that were 30, 40, 50, and our oldest was 69. He left his living with his mom in Florida. I don't remember if I told you that story, Archie, but he came to me and Rebecca and wanted to talk about his life and his story. And he had gotten to LA and wanted to be an actor, and had gotten in the special needs acting group, and he wanted to be on Love on the Spectrum. And he kept telling us, they told me not to get my hopes up, but it was pretty remarkable, to see that kind of our role is sometimes to just be able to stand behind the person with autism that's trying to advocate for themselves, and to give them that strength and courage. Because he did a lunch and learn. And Rebecca, what was the man from Florida's name? I'm blanking. Mark?
Yeah, Mark Pulver.
Yeah, so if anyone wanted to see his lunch and learn, but he was calling out his family members on the lunch and learn, like, Uncle Bob, what did you think when I left Florida and went to LA? And he gets on there and he's just like, I was really scared and I don't like it. But I think we're both doing the same thing, just in different, we're in different organizations, but we're doing the same thing. And it's just a gift to have say, I since day one, I've always been like, I feel like you're on our Autism Tree family for sure. So now we're just making it a little more official.
It's definitely a pleasure and an honor. I know you guys work really, really hard to do what you're doing, and it's definitely not easy. And you guys are doing it for free. You're volunteering your time and your energy. It is truly a beautiful thing. And I know clearly Jeff is on the call, and I don't know who else, but Jeff seems like he's someone that would recognize everything that you guys do and how much of value that is. So I appreciate it for him and for all those that are, because it's definitely not an easy thing to do. So thank you.
Yeah, and Jeff has really become an advocate in the last 3 years. Don't let me talk for you, Jeff. And his dad is really a lot of times his wingman, but has come on a lunch and learn that Jeff did to talk about how challenging it was as a parent, as you have, Archie. He's really talked about how hard it is, but that he had to do it. And Jeff flies all over the country, does so many things. And his dad is there for him, but he lets him go all the way. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to say anything to Archie about your experience of really branching out. Jeff was already living on his own when we started meeting him during the pandemic. Are you there, Jeff?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, how long did it take you to find an apartment and actually get out on your own?
It took about a year. I mean, I first, moved in January of 2015. So it took a good couple of years at best, probably a year and a half. We're, looking at apartments, and then there's the matter of, my folks letting me, go and living on my own and that sort of thing. And, this is, and my goal is to continue to be more and more independent as time goes on, I mean, because I'm starting to travel across the country. I'm starting to, I'm already teaching a couple of online classes. So it's, and that's really all I can say. I mean, I can't really, I'm not going to deny, there's really no denying that it hasn't been it was not an easy transition well, for me at least, but for my folks, it wasn't easy. So
Yeah, no, Jeff, I think it's good for Archie to meet you and your family because like the example he was giving, working with that father with a 19-year-old, how old were you in, would you say 2005? When you
uh,
first moved out?
you mean 2015?
Yeah.
I was 25 going on 26.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, a pivotal, Jeff can be a really great resource to everyone. He's done such a great job with other 20, 30-year-olds that want to live on their own. And Jeff's been really a huge source of encouragement and just as living proof that he's been walking the road a really long time. And in the 3 years we've known you, Jeff, Jeff used to be very involved in My Little Pony conventions and all of this stuff. And he's literally transitioned into this amazing self-advocate who's really just a huge part of our Autism Tree team and what we do with our neuroscience conference. Jeff's moderating our Living Autistically panel this year.
Mhm.
So I'm glad for you, Jeff, to be here and meet Archie and everyone else, of course.
And I'll also be emceeing, emceeing Flutie's 25th anniversary concert at Fenway in Boston next month.
That's phenomenal. And it's also a small world because Doug Flutie was a San Diego Charger when we started Autism Tree. And he did Monday Night Football with Doug Flutie, and his band played at the Hilton Torrey Pines, and that's what put us on the map. If you come into my office, I have my jersey is a Flutie jersey, and I have our signed piece of paper by Doug of our first donation that kind of got us started from them. So that's beautiful, Jeff. That's a huge honor too that you're doing that. I'm so excited for you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, before we go, I'd love to take a group picture with everyone. And thank you all for your comments and everything. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Sandy Anderson, who's also on this call. We love you.
Oh, Sandy, please say hi to Archie. Where I don't see her.
There we go.
Hi.
Hi, Sandy. Tell
right.
Archie anything you want.
Oh, I just absolutely love your heart, Archie. I've just been so excited to meet you. David's been telling me a lot about you, and one of these days I'm going to get over there and come and see what you do. And I'm just inspired. I wrote in my little thing here, I love that you call our friends members instead of consumers, or clients. So I really appreciate that because that just has that. And I love the sports analogy, of course. But it just makes it so much more personal than, oh, it's just a client or a consumer, you're a family member. And I love that. And I can see that coming from your heart and how you talk about your stories and the beautiful people that are there that you're caring for and their families. And I appreciate that. I have never met the director of my son's group home, and he's lived there for 18 years. I've met his house administrator, but I've never met the director. I've tried and I finally just gave up. And so you inspire me to go try to give him a call again. He's in LA and going, you know what? Yeah, we need to make some changes. You need to go meet Archie.
Wow, that's
the way you do things, so.
Wow, I have parents in my office all the time. I had a parent stop by the other day. Parents text me from time to time. I don't know how that would even work to not have contact. And clearly, I mean, they have house managers and coordinators and program managers that they can communicate with. But there are times where they want to hear me. They want to tell me something, they want me to know, they want to hear what my response is. And that's fine. That's part of my role and my responsibility to this population. These members are members of my organization, and their families have the right to have access to me when necessary. Not abuse it, but most certainly when necessary.
Well, part of ours is his, it's 100 miles away. So it's not like they're in the same community, but still, it would be nice to have them come and say, hey, let's get all the parents together. I think they like it when the parents aren't together, actually, so but my son is in a great group home, but I would love for him to be able to go on vacations. And so I have two sons with different disabilities. So my one that's in a group home that has more special needs, and then our son that's here. So
Well, maybe you should send them on a vacation to Las Vegas.
there you go. I think they would both like that. Joel has been asking, he wants to come see Blue Man, and right, Dana?
Uh-huh.
He's trying to get
Yeah.
out.
Joel did an all school assembly, Archie, at Cimarron High School.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and he did a
Nice.
really fantastic job. The amount of change at that big high school of 2,500 is absolutely incredible. And the coach is the one that could really articulate it. And he works with the IDD students too, the coach does. And so
Well-
I hope that can all come together, because his stories are endless. It started out as just supposed to be the high school football team, which John and Sandy started the program for Autism Tree in 2008 with USD football here in San Diego. But that one player, Shane Kaine, who went to Cimarron, as soon as we found ourselves in Las Vegas last summer, Sandy and John were both like, you have to meet Shane Kaine, you have to meet Coach Kaine. And so I knew he had to be special. And I had no idea he worked with the IDD kids, and that they had 300 with IEPs there. So I really hope you, John, gets to come and meet you on Monday and see the ranch. And also, if there's any way your schedule allows you, no pressure whatsoever, but they're going to be out at Cimarron with the summer camp. So I think it's such a small world, and I love to see all this connection. And I can't wait, because Joel loves going to Las Vegas, like Sandy said. So you'll have to meet him. He'll bring you some art, right, Sandy?
Yes. It's
Well,
back room, yeah.
I know, we don't have a whole lot of time, but just when you were talking, Sandy, about, them taking vacation and trips. And so I was kind of thinking, and Dana, this is a little off topic, but because we do have the respite program, maybe that's something that we can kind of put together for those people who have the ability to travel or the willingness to travel. Maybe we can do something where if there is a show or an event that's happening that we can kind of support them when they get here. Obviously we can't go over there and get them, but if they can get here to the airport, we can perhaps get them from the airport to the show, from the show to dinner, and then dinner back to the airport to go back home in whatever that time frame is. Because typically when our people go on long vacations, or not even long, but just say short, it could be a 2 to 3 day thing where there is someone that's assigned to them. They're not out wandering aimlessly throughout whatever city or town they're in. It's my team and the members who they are assigned to, depending on their skills and abilities. And so maybe that's something we can kind of put together, where there's some folks that are out there in your Autism Tree family that want to come to Vegas and participate in some trips, and we can kind of put something together. Obviously there's some costs associated with it, but nothing where we're trying to make money off of your Autism Tree family, but most certainly trying to provide opportunities for them to live a great quality of life and come see Vegas if that's something that they're interested in.
Absolutely. You just found your first one. Sandy, Joel can go without you, maybe. Maybe. Well, step
Thank
one, well, thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to everybody growing this relationship with me, and Rebecca, with Archie. John, thank you so much for making it here. I know you're at work too, but hope you meet Archie soon.
Thanks, everyone. Oh, let's take a picture before I forget, even though we had a few. Okay, if you'd like to share your camera, you can. Yay, John. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you, Archie.
Thank you. You guys have a great
Take care.
day.